Well, the season of Advent begins on November 30th, 4 weeks away. But in the coming Sundays, I'd like to share with you a series that I am imagining could be called an Advent before the Advent. For you see, this theme of Advent runs throughout the Old Testament. Advent, of course, meaning an anticipation, an approach. And so we're going to look at Advent themes even before the formal season arises. And to do that, we will be looking at two passages from the prophet Zechariah and then from the prophet Malachi. So this morning we begin with a reading from the 10th chapter of the book of the prophet Zechariah. Let us hear now the word of our God. Ask rain from the Lord in the season of the spring rain, from the Lord who makes the storm clouds, who gives showers of rain to you, the vegetation in the field to everyone. For the teraphim utter nonsense, and the diviners see lies. The dreamers tell false dreams and give empty consolation. Therefore, the people wander like sheep. They suffer for lack of a shepherd. Now, when you're setting out on a big journey these days, thanks to our contemporary technology, we have a GPS system, typically within our cars or on our phones, and that will help guide our way easily and successfully. So when you leave your home, you know that you will find your destination with ease. But now I'd like you to imagine a time not so long ago in which GPS did not exist. Then we used road maps to help us guide the way. Those big paper maps that you would unfold and many people would keep in the glove compartment of their car. A little bit cumbersome, a little bit awkward, but with the help of a big road map, you can leave point A and find your way to point B. Now, I would like you to imagine that you begin on that journey and you look all throughout your car within the glove compartment and you have no map. So now what are you going to do? Perhaps the concern arises. Maybe you're feeling a little bit anxious, but you've got to make the journey. And so you think, okay, well, I'll start on my way, and certainly if I get lost, I can stop at a gas station or a store and get some directions from someone along the way. But imagine you're driving and there are no stores and there are no gas stations. There's no one to ask the way. And so you're thinking now, anxiety is perhaps rising a little bit higher. You're thinking, well, what am I going to do? No GPS, no road map, no one to ask for directions. Well, the last thought that you might have are road signs. At least if I can find helpful road signs along the way, certainly it may be difficult, but I'll be able to reach my destination. Now imagine you are out west in a state like Arizona or New Mexico or Utah, and you're out in the desert. You have no GPS, no road map, no one to ask directions, and for the life of you, you can't find a single road sign. And so you're on this desert road, and you come to a fork in the road, and you have no idea which way to go. Should I go to the left, and should I go to the right? What do you do? What on earth do you do in that difficult moment? Well, most people might say, I've got to make a choice. I've got left or right. I'm just going to have to make a choice and see what happens. Now, if you can imagine that, if you can picture that you are in a difficult setting, the desert of our American Southwest, or maybe the vast plains of the Midwest, with no one around, no GPS, no maps, no road signs, and a fork in the road. If you can imagine that, and if you can imagine the kind of emotions that this predicament might instill within you, then you can begin to imagine what it was like for the people of God in the time of the prophet Zechariah. The people, there were no guideposts at that time. They were an exiled people. They were lost. Of course, no GPS or maps. Certainly, if they came across anybody in the wilderness, they may not know where the people should go. And so the people, as Zechariah says, they were wandering like sheep without a shepherd. The idea of a shepherd, it fills the Bible. We see it many occasions. Of course, you are all familiar with probably one of the most famous pieces of the biblical literature, the 23rd Psalm, "The Lord is my shepherd." Of course, you're well familiar with Jesus' words in the gospel, "I am the good shepherd." But now Zechariah talks about a people who are wandering like sheep without a shepherd. And for sheep, a shepherd is better than any GPS, any road map, any road sign. The shepherd is the ultimate guide. Because we see in the Bible, the shepherd, the good shepherd, has a care for the entire flock. But the people, they do not have a shepherd at all. Now, Zechariah says if the people were simply to ask God from rain in the springtime, the rain would come. The rain would fall and the earth would be fertile. If the people would simply call upon God, then that shepherd would appear. But for some reason, the people are not turning to God. And they're wandering. They're wandering, and you can only imagine that they are hoping for a shepherd to appear. This is an Advent season for the people of Israel, waiting and yearning for a guide that does not seem to come. And why is that? Well, Zechariah makes it very clear. The people are looking in the wrong place. They are turning to sources that are not helpful for guidance and for deliverance. And so Zechariah condemns the people for their consultations with unhelpful potential shepherds. Zechariah says, the teraphim utter nonsense. Teraphim, these simply refer to statues or what are sometimes called household gods, the gods and goddesses of the ancient world. We know that there are times in which Israel is taken captive by the allure of these gods and goddesses. Of course, think about the golden calf in the book of Exodus. So, Zechariah says, those teraphim, those household gods, no good. And then, he says, the diviners see lies. Who are the diviners? These are people who supposedly could look into the future. Perhaps it would be someone like that crystal ball, and they rub the crystal ball and they look into it, and they can see what your future is and how to get there. But Zechariah says, the diviners will not help you. They will see lies. Similarly, he says, the dreamers tell false dreams and give empty consolation. Yes, then there are those people who will say, I had a particular dream, and here's the answer to your problem. Zechariah says, no. The dreamer's not going to help you. It'll be false comfort. And so the people wander like sheep without a shepherd. It is Zechariah's hope, though, in this reminding of the people of the living God who brings forth beautiful rain in the springtime to heal the earth and to bring forth the crops. It is the hope of Zechariah for the people to turn away from the teraphim, to turn away from the diviners, and to turn away from these dreamers, and to come back and to anticipate the living God who really is that good shepherd for them. It is Zechariah's hope, and really we will see it is his plea, because the people, they are yearning for a path. They are anticipating a homecoming. They are themselves carrying within their hearts a dream of redemption. That's why I say that we are entering an Advent mood even before the Advent season begins. Now, what Zechariah is talking about is not simply a matter or a condition that is relegated to the dustbin of history some 2,500, 2,600 years ago. What Zechariah is speaking of, I believe, is something that we sense even today at different moments, even within our hearts. We know that we're on a journey. We know that we are people on the move. We know that there is a destination that is calling to us, speaking to the very depths of our soul. We know that there is a path. But so very often, we too are wandering like sheep without a shepherd. Now, for the people of Israel, it's not simply a physical journey across the land. It is that. But that of which Zechariah is speaking is also a spiritual condition. It is also a matter of the heart of the people. The people want to return to their homeland. They want to make that journey back to that promised land. And at the very same time, at this other dimension, their hearts want to return to their God. But they are wandering. They are wandering. And I think that within our lives, our journeys are similarly multifaceted, if you will. We have journeys that we would like to see in our lives, in our daily lives, in the conditions of our lives, the things that we do, the dreams that we carry within us for our lives and for our families. And yet, or in addition, there is that yearning within the heart, because the people of Israel discover, and we know too, that the human heart is built to seek out that which is even greater than us. And so we are yearning we are anticipating that which might come and deliver us and fulfill that emptiness that we carry within us. And so Zechariah says, beware of teraphim, beware of diviners, beware of these prophetic dreamers. But what about for us? What about for us? I think that we might translate the warnings that Zechariah gives to us into really a very, I guess you might say, simple but significant categories. Distractions and deceivers. Distractions and deceivers. If the teraphim and their like do anything at all, they distract the people and they deceive the people. They distract the people from what is true and good. And in that distraction, they deceive the people to embrace something else. And in a way, distractions and deceit fill our world as those forces have been present from time immemorial. Distractions which keep us from following this path. Distractions which actually deceive us with other ends that seem to be good, with other ends that seem to bring forth great hope, great promises, but actually leave us empty and leave us sorrowful in our own brokenness. And so the task for us as we wander, if you will, as we seek to find our path, like the people of Israel did long ago, is to identify that which distracts and thereby deceives us. And how do we know if something is a distraction? How do we know if it's a distraction and not actually the Good Shepherd? I think that we can simply identify things by their relationship to what is true and good and beautiful. The ancient Greek philosophers, they understood, if you will, in their own trinity, their own philosophical trinity, that truth and goodness and beauty all are interwoven. And so I would suggest to you that things that go against what is beautiful, things that go against what is good, what is life-giving, things that go against what is true, a truth that leads to righteousness, a truth that leads to goodwill and to justice. Distractions are the things that carry us away from truth and goodness and beauty. And so in our spiritual lives, that is the task. If we feel as though we are wandering like sheep without a shepherd, and so often we do, there's nothing to be embarrassed about. It's part of the human condition, but we need to identify and to be able to say, yes, I'm lost. I don't have a GPS. I don't have a map. There's no one to ask. There are no road signs. What do I do? And Zechariah says, call upon God, and we can add to that, seek beauty, seek goodness, seek truth. Discover the ways in which those things are made manifest in your lives, in your careers, in your families, in your relationships. Discover beauty, seek goodness, seek truth, and one step after another, you will discover, that's where the shepherd is to be found. That is the place in which the shepherd, through which the shepherd is coming to us. This is our Advent. It's always been the human Advent. It has always been at the very heart of the human dilemma. Why does Jesus say, "Seek and you will find"? Because he knows that upon this earth we are wandering and we are seeking, because there is something within us that God has implanted within us in which we seek what is greater than us. We seek what is greater than us, that is the source of every good thing. Distractions that lead to deception, they're out there. We need to develop an eye, a heart of discernment. We need to begin to ask ourselves, what is leading me towards what is just and beautiful and good? What is leading me in that direction? What is leading me astray? We can discern that. We can seek that. Because the living God who brings forth rain in the springtime for the crops of the earth and for the land itself, the living God who sends forth that healing rain is the same one, who will ease our seeking hearts and place us, as David will say about the Good Shepherd, on right paths for his name's sake. Amen.